The envelope slides across my desk, pushed by fingers that bear the weight of 3 gold rings. Detective Mercer's eyes, bloodshot and unblinking, lock onto mine. Look at it, Keller. Just fucking look at it. I don't want to. My hands are already shaking as I reach for it, knowing what's inside will change everything. The grimy ceiling fan in my office at the East Side Community Center spins lazily above us, barely disturbing the July heat that's turned Detroit into a pressure cooker. "Your golden boy," Mercer says, lighting a cigarette. "Your precious community fundraiser." The photos spill out. Glossy, clinical, sickening. Marcus Washington, our star volunteer, sprawled on concrete behind the abandoned Packard plant, his skull a constellation of exit wounds. Next to him, an open briefcase, empty. $50,000, I whisper, my throat suddenly dry. The neighborhood renewal fund, gone, Mercer confirms, along with whatever fantasy you had about saving this neighborhood. My stomach churns. I'd vouched for Marcus, given him access, trusted him with money raised from church bake sales, neighborhood car washes, and the few remaining businesses that hadn't fled Detroit's economic collapse. Who? I managed to ask. That's where it gets interesting. Mercer flicks ash onto my floor. Car that was spotted, a black Lincoln with chrome details, belongs to Vincent Delacroix. The name hits like a physical blow. Delacroix, the smooth-talking businessman buying up abandoned properties across the East Side. The same man who donated $10,000 to our fund last month. The same man who'd shaken my hand at the mayor's office, calling me the future of Detroit. That's impossible, I say. But even as the words leave my mouth, connections spark in my brain. Marcus's new clothes, his sudden interest in the property deeds I keep in the filing cabinet, the late-night phone calls he'd step outside to take. 3 witnesses, Mercer says. And a partial plate match. But here's the kicker. Delacroix is claiming he was at the Renaissance Center all night, some charity gala. Got about 50 rich folks backing his story. And you think I know something? I think, Mercer says, leaning in close enough that I smell coffee and cigarettes, that you're in over your head, Keller. 26 years old, running a community center in the most dangerous part of town, playing with money that people like Delacroix consider pocket change. He's right. I'm a college dropout who thought charisma and good intentions could rebuild a neighborhood. Now Marcus is dead, the money is gone, and the phone rings, making me jump. Mercer raises an eyebrow as I answer. "Keller, it's Christine from the mayor's office." Her voice is tight, professional. "Mr. Delacroix would like to see you, tonight, his residence on Boston Boulevard." I look at Mercer, still watching me with predatory focus. "Why?" I ask. "He says it concerns your future," Christine replies, "and he specifically said to come alone." The line goes dead. Mercer's hand moves almost imperceptibly toward his holster. "Something you want to tell me, Keller?" he asks. Through the window, I notice a black Lincoln idling across the street, its engine a low growl against the symphony of sirens that is Detroit after dark. I slip out the back door of the community center while Mercer's talking to dispatch. The rational part of my brain screams that this is exactly what guilty people do, run. But I need answers before the police start treating me like a suspect. Rain has started to fall, turning Detroit's streets into mirrors that reflect the neon signs of liquor stores and check-cashing places. I catch the bus heading toward Boston Boulevard, where the old money lives in mansions that mock the rest of the city's decay. A woman across from me clutches her purse tighter when I sit down. I don't blame her. My reflection in the window looks haunted. Dark circles under eyes that have seen too much for 26 years. The headlines flash through my mind. Community organizer embezzles neighborhood fund. They'll dig into my past, the petty cons I ran as a teenager, the scholarship I lost for cheating on an exam, the confidence games I swore I'd left behind when I started the community center. The bus lurches to a stop, and I nearly collide with the driver. "End of the line, buddy," he says. I walk the last half-mile to Delacroix's mansion, the rain soaking through my jacket. Security cameras track my approach to the front gate, where a guard with a military posture checks my ID and speaks into a radio. The gate swings open. The house is palatial, stone and columns and perfect landscaping, a remnant of Detroit's glory days when auto executives lived like royalty. A Filipino maid leads me through rooms with marble floors and oil paintings to a study that smells of leather and cigars. Mr. Keller. Vincent Delacroix rises from behind a desk that probably costs more than everything I own. He's 50-something, silver-haired, wearing a smoking jacket like he's auditioning for a role as old money. "Please, sit. Brandy?" "Why am I here?" I ask, remaining standing. "And why was Marcus Washington murdered with your car at the scene?" Delacroix sighs, pouring himself a drink. "Direct, I appreciate that." He gestures to a manila folder on the desk. "Open it." Inside are photographs. Me and Marcus talking outside the community center. Me handing him a key. Me opening the safe in my office where we kept the fundraiser money. "You've been under surveillance," Delacroix says. "Not by me, by the people who killed your friend." "Who?" I demand. "The 7th Mile Syndicate," he answers, and my blood runs cold. Everyone in Detroit knows about the syndicate. Former auto workers turned drug dealers and loan sharks who control the East Side. They tried to offer protection to the community center last year. I told them to go to hell. "What do they want with a neighborhood renewal fund?" I ask. Delacroix laughs, but there's no humor in it. "It's not about the money, Mr. Keller. It's about the properties." He taps his finger on a map of the East Side. "Your community land trust has been buying abandoned buildings for back taxes. Worthless properties, except the city just announced the new light rail will run right through that neighborhood," I finish, the pieces clicking together. "Property values will triple overnight." "Precisely. And the syndicate wants those properties. They've been pressuring the city council to cancel your land trust arrangement. So why kill Marcus? Why frame you?" Delacroix's face hardens. "Because I've been working with federal prosecutors building a RICO case against the syndicate. Marcus discovered this and reached out to me. He was my informant." My head spins. That's not possible. I knew Marcus for years. "Did you?" Delacroix slides another photo across the desk. Marcus, dressed far better than a community volunteer could afford, shaking hands with a man I recognize from newspaper crime reports, Robert Bones, the syndicate's enforcer. "He was playing both sides," Delacroix says. "And now the syndicate has the money, the land trust documents, and they've managed to implicate both of us in his murder." The revelation hits like a physical blow. I'd trusted Marcus completely, had defended him when others questioned his sudden interest in our property acquisitions. "So why am I here?" I ask. "Why tell me all this?" Delacroix smiles, and something in that smile makes my skin crawl. "Because, Mr. Keller, I need someone who can move in circles I cannot. Someone with your particular talents." "What talents?" "Please." He sips his brandy. "I've read your juvenile record. Confident schemes, check fraud, impersonating a charity collector." "You were quite the prodigy before you decided to go straight." He leans forward. "I need you to con the con men, Mr. Keller." Before I can respond, the study door bursts open. A man in a tailored suit, perspiration beading on his forehead, rushes in. "They found the car, sir," he tells Delacroix. "Police are impounding it now." Delacroix's expression doesn't change, but his knuckles whiten around his glass. "And the contents?" The man hesitates, looking at me. "Speak freely," Delacroix commands. "Gone, sir. The recording devices, the ledgers, all gone, and there's blood in the trunk. Delacroix turns to me, any pretense of civility vanishing. This changes things. The police will be here soon, if they connect me to that car. He reaches into his desk drawer and pulls out a small revolver, placing it deliberately on the desk between us. Now, Mr. Keller, we need to make an arrangement, quickly. Outside, I hear the distant wail of police sirens growing louder. Put the gun away, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. If you shoot me, those sirens will be at your front door in 2 minutes. Delacroix's laugh is dry. This isn't for you. He slides the revolver into his pocket. It's for contingencies. Now come with me. We move through a door hidden behind a bookshelf, a cliché that would be funny in any other situation, and descend a narrow staircase. The walls transition from polished wood to rough concrete. Prohibition tunnel, Delacroix explains, as we reached a low-ceilinged passageway. Connected to the river once upon a time. Now it leads to a garage 2 blocks away. My mind races. Run? Fight? Neither seems viable. This man knows too much about me. About my past, about the community center, about Marcus. Why should I trust you? I demand, stopping in my tracks. Delacroix doesn't break stride. Because Detective Mercer is with the syndicate. He tosses something over his shoulder, a police badge. Found this in your office when we had it swept for bugs last week. Registered to Michael Conroy, a detective who disappeared 3 years ago. I examined the badge, remembering how Mercer always kept it clipped inside his jacket, never displaying it openly. Mercer isn't even his real name, I murmur. Precisely. The syndicate has infiltrated the department at every level. Why do you think no one investigated when 3 community centers like yours were burned down last year? We emerge into a small garage containing a single car, a nondescript Oldsmobile with rusted edges. Delacroix tosses me the keys. There's a motel off I-94, the Wayfarer. Room 17 is paid through the week. Inside, you'll find everything you need to understand what's really happening. Go now. And what will you do? His smile is thin. Create a convincing distraction. 20 minutes later, I'm doing 70 on the interstate, rain hammering the windshield. The radio reporting that prominent businessman Vincent Delacroix has been taken in for questioning regarding the murder of a community activist. My name isn't mentioned, but it's only a matter of time. The Wayfarer Motel is everything you'd expect. Buzzing fluorescent lights, stained carpet, the distant sounds of couples fighting through paper-thin walls. Room 17 smells of cigarettes and desperation. A briefcase sits on the bed. Inside, a prepaid phone, $10,000 in cash, and a leather-bound ledger. The first page bears the letterhead of the 7th Mile Syndicate, followed by names, dates, and dollar amounts. I recognize city council members, police captains, building inspectors. The phone rings, making me jump. "Did you find it?" a woman's voice asks. Who is this? Someone who knows Marcus Washington wasn't who you thought. Her voice is clipped, professional. Check the Bible in the nightstand. I find the Bible, open it. Tucked inside is a photograph of Marcus and I at the community center's opening 3 years ago. He was already working for them when you met him. That's not possible, I say into the phone. Marcus grew up in the neighborhood. Everyone knew him. Marcus Washington died of an overdose in 1974, the woman replies. The man you knew assumed his identity. His real name is Thomas Reeves, former confidence man from Chicago. He was sent to infiltrate your operation from the beginning. The room seems to tilt. Who are you? FBI. And before you get any ideas, Delacroix isn't what he claims either. He's not working with us. He's working with the mayor's office to acquire those properties through eminent domain once your land trust collapses. I think of the gun Delacroix pocketed, the convenient escape tunnel, the way he'd studied me like a chess piece rather than a person. So everyone's playing an angle, I say. Welcome to Detroit, she replies. Here's the situation. The syndicate wants the properties for drug distribution. Delacroix wants them for commercial development. The mayor's office wants the federal funding that comes with the light rail project. And all of them were using your community center as a pawn. Where does that leave me? In possession of the only copy of the syndicate's payment ledger, the one Thomas, stole before they killed him. I look down at the leather book. So I have leverage. You have a target on your back, she corrects. That ledger documents 20 years of bribes, extortion, and murder for hire. Everyone in this city wants it destroyed. A sharp knock at the door freezes me in place. Mr. Keller, a man's voice, impatient. Detroit PD, open up. Don't, the woman on the phone whispers. That's not a cop. I move to the bathroom window, peer through the yellowed blinds. In the parking lot, I count 3 men in plain clothes standing near unmarked cars. Another knock, harder this time. I can help you, the woman says, but you need to trust me.
There's a maintenance door at the end of your hallway. It leads to the motel's laundry room. Go there now. The pounding on the door intensifies. Wood splinters around the cheap lock. Why should I trust you? I ask, already moving toward the hallway. Because I'm the only one who wants the same thing you do, she says. Justice for what they did to your neighborhood. The door gives way just as I slip into the laundry room. Through the steam and the smell of industrial detergent, I see a service exit propped open with a brick, and beyond it, a black sedan with its engine running. The woman behind the wheel doesn't match her voice. I expected a federal agent to look severe, professional. Instead, she's barely older than me, with wild curly hair and a Detroit Tigers jacket. Get in, she says, not looking at me. I hesitate. Behind me, shouts echo from the motel. 3 seconds before they check the laundry room, she warns. Your call. I dive into the passenger seat. She peels out of the parking lot as gunshots crack the night air. Special Agent Lisa Watkins, she says, weaving through traffic with practiced precision. Though right now I'm operating, let's say, unofficially. What does that mean? It means I was Marcus, Thomas's handler, until 3 weeks ago when my investigation was suddenly shut down from above. Her jaw tightens. It means someone in the bureau is also on the syndicate's payroll. We drive in silence for several miles, the Detroit skyline receding in the rearview mirror. I clutch the ledger like a life preserver. How deep does this go? I finally ask. The light rail project is worth $400 million in federal contracts. The properties along the route will quadruple in value. But it's bigger than that. The syndicate doesn't just want money, they want legitimacy. This is their chance to transition from street criminals to businessmen, the same way the old bootleggers did after Prohibition. She exits the freeway, navigating through a warren of industrial streets until we reach an abandoned factory with broken windows like missing teeth. Inside, flickering fluorescent lights reveal a makeshift operations center. Maps, photographs, surveillance equipment. My unofficial headquarters, she explains. After I was pulled from the case, I borrowed some equipment. You could lose your job. Her laugh is bitter. That's the least of what I could lose. She taps a photo on the wall, herself with an older woman who shares her features. My mother lives in the East Side, one of those neighborhoods you've been trying to save. The syndicate tried to force her out last year, said the neighborhood was being redeveloped. When she refused, they cut her brake lines. The personal revelation catches me off guard. I'm sorry. She survived. Barely. Watkins points to the ledger in my hands. I need that to bring them down. All of them. I place the ledger on a table, open it. Names, dates, amounts. Councilman Johnson, $25,000. Captain Rivera, $40,000. Judge Holbrook, $100,000. And detailed plans for something called Operation Renaissance, the systematic acquisition of properties along the future light rail route. My God, I whisper, turning pages. Half the city government is in here. Keep going, Watkins urges. And then I see it, my own name.
Michael Keller, $75,000. Dated 3 years ago, when the community center first opened. That's not possible, I stammer. I never. Not you, Watkins says quietly. Your father. The room seems to spin. My father's been dead for 5 years. Yes, convenient timing, wasn't it? Just before you returned to Detroit to make a difference in the neighborhood. I grip the edge of the table to study myself. My father, the union man, the community activist who taught me to fight for what's right. The same father who somehow always had money for my college tuition despite being laid off from the auto plant. He was on their payroll? Watkins nods. He was their liaison to the unions. When membership started voting for candidates the syndicate didn't approve of, your father helped persuade them otherwise. The revelation crashes through my carefully constructed worldview. Every memory of my father now colored by this new knowledge. Is that why you've been watching me? I ask. You thought I was part of it too? At first, she admits. But then we realized you were genuinely trying to help. That's when Thomas was sent to infiltrate your operation, to keep tabs on you and to make sure you didn't accidentally interfere with their plans. And Delacroix? Where does he fit? Vincent Delacroix launders money for everyone. The syndicate, politicians, corporations. He plays all sides. The community center fundraiser? That was his idea. Get the neighborhood to raise money to buy properties that would ultimately be seized through eminent domain. I think of all the bake sales, the car washes, the donation drives. People with nothing giving what little they had to save their neighborhood. All of it a cruel joke. So why did Thomas steal the money and the ledger, I ask. Because he grew a conscience, Watkins says. He'd been living as Marcus Washington for so long, he started to believe his own cover story. Started to care about the community. He contacted me, wanting to flip on the syndicate. And they found out? She nods. We had arranged to extract him that night. I was 10 minutes late. Her voice catches. By the time I got there, they were putting his body in the trunk of that Lincoln. A sound outside, tires on gravel, interrupts us. Watkins draws her weapon, moves to the window. FBI vehicles, she whispers. But they can't know about this place unless... The realization hits us both simultaneously. The phone in the motel room, I say. It was a setup. Watkins nods grimly. Already gathering essential documents. We have maybe 2 minutes. Is there anyone you trust? Anyone at all? I think of the community center volunteers, the neighborhood council, the local church leaders. How many of them might be compromised? How many might be innocent pawns like me? And then it hits me. The one person who's had every opportunity to betray me, but hasn't. Christine, I say, from the mayor's office. She's been feeding me information about city planning meetings, helping me file the right paperwork for the land trust. If she were with them, the community center would have been shut down months ago. Watkins checks her watch. 60 seconds. Where can we find her? She lives in Corktown, works late, should be home by now. As we slip out the back of the abandoned factory, Watkins hands me a small device. What's this? I ask. Insurance, she says. Voice-activated recorder. Everything we've discussed is now documented. Heavy footsteps echo behind us as we disappear into the darkness, the ledger tucked securely under my jacket, its secrets burning against my skin.
Christine's apartment building rises out of Corktown like a tombstone. 6 stories of red brick and fire escapes, its ground floor occupied by a Polish bakery that's been here since the 50s. The smell of fresh bread at 2 in the morning seems almost obscene given the circumstances. Watkins parks 2 blocks away, engine still running. If this goes wrong, it won't, I say, though my hands are shaking again. If it does, she continues, there's a bus station 3 blocks east. Get on the first thing heading out of Michigan. The recorder will automatically upload to a secure server in 48 hours if I don't manually cancel it. I climb out, the ledger a weight against my ribs. The street is empty, except for a homeless man pushing a shopping cart filled with aluminum cans. He doesn't look at me as I pass, but something in his posture feels wrong. Too alert, too focused. Christine's apartment is 4B. No elevator, so I take the stairs, 2 at a time, my footsteps echoing in the narrow stairwell. 4th floor. The hallway smells of cooking grease and decades of cigarette smoke absorbed into wallpaper that was probably ugly when it was new. I knock, once, twice. The door opens on a chain. Christine's face appears in the gap, pale and exhausted. She's still wearing her work clothes, a blazer and skirt that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Keller, her eyes widen. Jesus Christ, every cop in Detroit is looking for you. I need to talk to you, please. She hesitates, and in that hesitation I see genuine fear. Of me? Of what helping me might mean? The chain slides free. She pulls me inside, quickly locking the door behind us. Her apartment is small but immaculate. IKEA furniture, framed concert posters, a shelf of law books. A laptop open on the dining table displays what looks like zoning documents. She closes it quickly. You shouldn't be here, she says. I know. But you're the only person I can think of who might actually be trying to help this neighborhood. I pull out the ledger, place it on her coffee table. And I need to know if I'm right about that. Christine stares at the leather-bound book like it might bite her. Where did you get that? Marcus had it, before they killed him. She sits down heavily on her couch, reaches for a pack of cigarettes with trembling hands. Do you know what's in there? Names, dates, payments, Operation Renaissance. I watch her face carefully. Your boss's signature is on the authorization for Phase 1. Christine lights her cigarette, takes a long drag. The mayor didn't know what he was signing. He thought it was standard urban renewal paperwork. She laughs bitterly. That's what I told myself anyway, that he was just incompetent, not complicit. And now? Now I know better. She opens the ledger, flips through pages with the familiarity of someone who's seen it before. I've been trying to build a case against them for 8 months, collecting documents, recording conversations, building a paper trail. My pulse quickens. You're investigating your own office? Someone has to. She turns the ledger toward me, points to an entry dated 6 months ago. See this? Payment to Consultant Services LLC for $200,000. That's a shell company owned by Robert Carlson, Bones Carlson, the syndicate's enforcer. The mayor paid the syndicate directly? Through 3 layers of corporate subsidiaries, but yes, and I can prove it. She moves to her bookshelf, pulls out what looks like a textbook. Inside, hollowed out, is a USB drive. Financial records, emails, recorded phone calls, everything. I stare at the drive. Why haven't you gone to the police? Christine's laugh is sharp. Because half of them are on the syndicate's payroll. I tried going to the FBI 6 weeks ago, met with a special agent named Watkins. And 3 days later, my apartment was broken into. Nothing stolen except my laptop, the one with all my research. The message was clear. She takes another drag. A week after that, Marcus Washington contacted me. Said he was working with Watkins, that they had a plan to bring everyone down at once. Then he turned up dead. Pieces slot together in my mind. What was the plan? Get the ledger to the press and federal prosecutors simultaneously. Create too much public attention for the syndicate to suppress. Christine stubs out her cigarette. But without Marcus's testimony, the ledger alone isn't enough. We need living witnesses, people who can testify about what they've seen. Like you, like me, like you, like anyone who's been paying attention. She closes the ledger. The problem is staying alive long enough to testify. A sound outside, footsteps in the hallway, too heavy to be another tenant. Christine and I lock eyes. She moves quickly, scooping up the ledger and USB drive, shoving them into a leather satchel. Fire escape, now. We're halfway to the window when the door explodes inward, cheap wood splintering around a battering ram. 2 men in tactical gear pour through, weapons drawn. Don't move. But Christine is already moving, throwing the satchel out the window before they can stop her. I hear it clatter on the metal fire escape below. One of the men grabs her, slams her against the wall. The other moves toward me. "Where's Watkins?" he demands. I play dumb. "Who?" His fist connects with my stomach. I double over, gasping. "The FBI agent. We know she picked you up from the motel." Another punch, this one to my ribs. "Where is she?" Through the pain, I process what he's just revealed. They know about Watkins, which means they've been tracking her movements, which means the window explodes inward in a shower of glass. Lisa Watkins rolls through, weapon drawn, firing twice. Both tactical officers go down hard.
"Move!" she shouts. Christine and I scramble for the fire escape. Below, in the alley, I see the satchel wedged between two dumpsters. I'm climbing down when more shouting erupts from Christine's apartment. "FBI, drop your weapons!" But the voices aren't Watkins. They're different agents. Real ones or more syndicate plants? Watkins appears at the window, face grim. "Go, I'll hold them." "Like hell," I shout back. She fires twice more into the apartment, then follows us down the fire escape. We hit the alley running, Christine scooping up the satchel without breaking stride. Behind us, muzzle flashes light up the night. Bullets spark off brick and metal. We round a corner, sprint through a maze of service alleys that reek of rotting garbage and stale beer. "Your car," Christine gasps. "Where?" "2 blocks west," Watkins replies. We emerge onto a main street, Michigan Avenue, still relatively busy even at this hour. Traffic, pedestrians, witnesses. The shooting stops. But as we approach Watkins' sedan, I see it. All 4 tires slashed, windows smashed. "Shit," Watkins hisses. A voice behind us. "Drop the bag. All of you, hands where I can see them." I turn slowly. Detective Mercer, or whatever his real name is, stands 15 feet away, weapon leveled. Behind him, 3 more men in plain clothes, all armed. "It's over," Mercer says. "Been a good run, Keller, but you're out of your depth." "You're not a cop," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "Sure I am, just not the kind you read about in civics class." He gestures with the gun. "The ledger, now." Christine clutches the satchel tighter. "What makes you think we'd give it to you?" Mercer's smile is cold. "Because otherwise, I put bullets in all 3 of you and take it anyway. Your choice." Actually, a new voice cuts through the standoff. Vincent Delacroix steps out of a black town car that's pulled up to the curb. He's flanked by 2 bodyguards, both carrying tactical shotguns. "Mr. Mercer," Delacroix says pleasantly, "or should I say Thomas Conroy? Yes, I know your real name. Former Detroit PD, dismissed for evidence tampering, now working as muscle for the syndicate." He adjusts his cufflinks. "How the mighty have fallen." Mercer's weapon doesn't waver. "Stay out of this, Delacroix." "I'm afraid I can't do that. You see, that ledger belongs to me." "Belongs to you?" I stare at him. "You said you were building a case against the syndicate." Delacroix laughs. "I said a great many things, Mr. Keller. People in my position often do." He turns to Mercer. "The ledger documents 20 years of the syndicate's operations, yes. But do you know what it doesn't document? My operations. Because I kept 2 sets of books. The revelation hits like ice water. You're not laundering money for the syndicate. You are running the syndicate. Technically, I'm a silent partner. Robert Carlson handles the day-to-day operations. I handle the legitimacy, the political connections, the business deals, the respectable face." Delacroix's smile is razor thin. "The syndicate was never the real prize, Mr. Keller. It was always about the real estate. 400 million in light rail contracts. Property values quadrupling overnight. That's generational wealth we're discussing." Mercer shifts uncomfortably. "You're saying Carlson doesn't know?" "Carlson knows what I tell him to know. As do you." Delacroix nods to his bodyguards.
Now I'll take the ledger, and we can all walk away from this unfortunate situation. There's just one problem, Watkins says. She's been quiet this whole time, and now I see why. She's holding her phone up, screen glowing. I've been live streaming this entire conversation to every major news outlet in Michigan. Delacroix's composure cracks for the first time. That's not possible. We jammed all cell signals in a 3-block radius. You jammed commercial frequencies. Watkins' smile is grim. FBI equipment operates on a different spectrum, and thanks to Mr. Delacroix's detailed confession, we now have everything we need. For a moment, nobody moves. Then Mercer swings his weapon toward Delacroix. You son of a bitch, you were going to cut us out. The gunshot sounds like the world ending. Mercer drops, blood spreading across his chest. Delacroix's bodyguard lowers his smoking shotgun. Anyone else? Delacroix asks, pleasantly. His remaining men raise their weapons. We're outgunned, outmaneuvered. The live stream might have captured his confession, but that won't matter if we're all dead. Then I hear it. Sirens, lots of them, converging from every direction. The stream, Christine whispers. People saw what's happening. They called the real police. Delacroix's face darkens. Clever. But you're assuming the responding officers aren't also on my payroll. They're not, a new voice says. A woman in a FBI windbreaker steps out from behind a delivery truck, badge held high. Behind her, a dozen more agents fan out, weapons drawn. Special Agent in Charge Patricia Morrison, she announces. Mr. Delacroix, you're under arrest for racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder, and about 40 other charges I'm going to enjoy reading to you. Delacroix's bodyguards drop their weapons. Smart men, recognizing when the game is truly over. As federal agents swarm the scene, Morrison approaches Watkins. Good work, Agent, even if you did violate about 16 protocols to get here. Worth it, Watkins replies. Morrison turns to me. Mr. Keller, we're going to need extensive debriefing. You too, Miss Chen. She nods at Christine. But I want you to know, the work you've both done documenting these crimes will save this city. I look at Christine, at the satchel she's still clutching. Inside it, the evidence that will unravel decades of corruption. Outside it, a neighborhood that might finally have a chance. What about the community center, I ask, the properties we bought? Morrison's expression softened slightly. That's above my pay grade, but I imagine once the syndicate's assets are seized, there will be significant funds available for actual community development. As they load Delacroix into a federal vehicle, he catches my eye. Even in handcuffs, he manages to look imperious. You think you've won, he says, but there will always be another me, another Marcus, another corrupt official. Detroit eats idealists like you for breakfast. Maybe, I reply, but at least I'll sleep at night. 3 months later, I stand in the renovated community center, watching neighborhood kids paint a mural on the wall where Marcus's photo used to hang. The $50,000 was recovered from a syndicate stash house. Additional funds, seized assets from Delacroix's empire, have been allocated for genuine neighborhood renewal. Christine, no longer working for the mayor's office, has taken a position with a good government watchdog group. Watkins, after a 2-week suspension for her unauthorized investigation, received a commendation for breaking the case. And me? I'm still here, still trying to make a difference. Still haunted by the revelation that my father was part of the system I've been fighting. Still processing the fact that Marcus, Thomas, whoever he really was, died trying to do the right thing. The mural the kids are painting shows Detroit rising from ruins. Cliché, maybe. But standing here, watching actual hope take shape in spray paint and determination, I think maybe clichés become clichés because sometimes they're true. My phone buzzes. A text from Watkins. Coffee? Need to discuss something. I step outside into autumn sunlight. The street still has vacant lots and burned-out buildings. Change comes slowly to Detroit, but it comes. I think about Delacroix's parting words. He wasn't wrong. There will always be another predator trying to exploit this city's vulnerability. But there will also always be people willing to fight back. As I walk toward the coffee shop, I pass the spot where Marcus died. Someone has left flowers there, kept fresh despite the weeks that have passed. I don't know who maintains this small memorial, but their persistence feels like a promise. Detroit eats idealists for breakfast? Maybe, but first it has to catch us, and we're faster than we look. The coffee shop is crowded with the afternoon rush. I spot Watkins at a corner table, 2 cups already waiting. "Thanks for coming," she says as I sit. "What's this about?" She slides a folder across the table. Loose end. We recovered Thomas's real identity. Turns out he had a sister. She's been looking for him for 3 years. I open the folder. A photograph of a woman who shares Marcus's eyes stares back at me. "She deserves to know what happened," Watkins says. "The truth about who he became at the end. About how he tried to make things right." I study the photograph. Another person damaged by the machinery of corruption. Another life disrupted by the same forces that killed my father's integrity and nearly killed mine. "I'll talk to her," I say. "Good," Watkins sips her coffee. "Because she's sitting at the table behind you." I turn. The woman from the photograph sits alone, hands wrapped around a mug, eyes red from crying but set with determination. "She wanted to meet you," Watkins explains. "Wanted to thank the person who exposed what happened to her brother." I stand, move to her table. Up close, the resemblance to Marcus is even stronger. "Mr. Keller," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "My brother talked about you, before everything happened. He said you were the real thing, someone who actually believed." "He died believing too," I reply. "That has to count for something." She nods slowly. "He wasn't always a good person." "But he tried to be, at the end." We talk for an hour, about Marcus, about Detroit, about the cost of trying to survive in a city that tests everyone who stays. When we finally part, she leaves me with something, a small notebook, worn and water-stained. "His," she explains. "The police returned it with his effects. I think he'd want you to have it." That night, back in my apartment above the community center, I open Marcus's notebook. It's filled with observations, sketches, fragments of poetry. And on the last page, dated 2 days before his death, a single sentence. "Sometimes the con is on yourself, making yourself believe you can be better than you were." I close the notebook, place it on my desk next to the recorder Watkins gave me. Evidence and memory, truth and transformation. Outside my window, Detroit sleeps uneasily. Police sirens wail. A train rumbles past. Somewhere in the night, another crime is being committed, another deal being made, another person deciding whether to fight or flee. I think about my father, about Marcus, about all the people who got lost in the machinery of corruption. I think about Christine and Watkins, still fighting despite knowing how deep the rot goes. And I think about tomorrow, when I'll wake up and do it all again. Not because I'm naive enough to believe one person can save a city, but because the alternative is to become what Delacroix was, someone who sees the broken pieces and decides to profit from the destruction. My phone buzzes again, another text from Watkins. "Robert Carlson made bail. Thought you should know." I stare at the message. Carlson, the syndicate's enforcer, still out there, still dangerous. But that's a problem for tomorrow. Tonight, I'm just a 26-year-old dropout trying to sleep in a city that never quite does. I lie down, Marcus's notebook on the nightstand beside me. And as I drift toward unconscious, I hear the sound of spray paint outside. Kids from the neighborhood, adding to the mural even at this late hour. The sound of hope, illegal and irrepressible, painting over the past with impossible futures. Detroit doesn't eat Idealist for breakfast. It just makes us work for every small victory. And maybe that's enough.